As I look upon my life, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dreams. As I look upon my life, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dreams.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Inside Show. It is such a pleasure for me to be hosting this today. I want to just send some love and some greetings to Pastor Joan, who is away today, so I'll be filling in for her. But we do miss her terribly in studio, I'll have you know. And as you know, she's always so vibrant and excited in the morning, and so we'll definitely try and keep up the energy and the spirit as well. So welcome to the Inside Show, ladies and gentlemen. I am here with two beautiful ladies, and we'll be discussing quite an interesting topic. And I'm saying it's interesting because we are using the very platform that we'll be discussing today.
Right.
And I'm going to go over to the room and introduce who I have with me. I have the beautiful Violet, Pastor Violet, and the beautiful Samantha Retief. And they are, well, you know Pastor Vi because she's with us on our Thursday shows.
Yes.
But she's going to just share something about her that you didn't know. And then we're going to go over to Pastor Samantha Retief, and she's going to share about something about her and where she's from that you didn't know. So over to you, Pastor Vi.
Something that they don't know?
Yes.
Wow. That's a difficult one.
Is it?
Yeah. I didn't think about that. Well, what can I say? That I'm a shy person, actually? Yeah.
On camera.
On camera, or maybe even in real life. Oh, I was. No, I think I've outgrown that shyness. But yes, I was a very shy person. So it's actually awesome for me to be on this platform, you know, given my personality that I have.
Yeah, your predisposition to
My
shyness. Yes,
so
and that you
predisposition.
all
Yeah.
here shining and bright. And then
Yeah,
I'm going to
that's
go over to Pastor Sam. Pastor Sam, tell the listeners about who you are.
So hi, morning everyone. It's quite an honor to be here this morning, and thank you to Pastor Joni and her beautiful team, and to Pastor Lee also for hosting us this morning.
Yeah.
So something that you don't know about me is I come from El Dorado Park, and I used to be a drummer girl, so I do play drums.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yes, I used to be a former brigader, and my late dad, used to be the captain of the first El Dorado Park Boys and Girls Brigade. So I know all the streets in El Dorado Park. So that's something that you don't know about me.
That is very interesting
That's
indeed.
very interesting.
Maybe you should start one year up in the south as well.
That's good.
Well, we are going to keep with our talk with Joan on Thursday's tradition, and we are going to go to our mirror, which is really my favorite part of the show. But we're going to start, and we're going to ask a very particular question today, given the fact that our topic of discussion is our social media usage. So I'm going to ask my beautiful guest to go first, and tell me, when was the last time you posted, and what was the reason for your post? On any of the, so you have to name the platform, tell me the reason why, and when you posted.
Pastor Lee, I posted yesterday something, and it was about pastors overlooking, you know, I can't remember the exact wording, but basically the crutch of it was that sometimes pastors overlook the faults or the sins of the people that they put on the altars or in the what you call this,
In service or in public service?
in service on stage, in the music ministry, and rather look at and it said that pastors are more concerned about the gifts than those folks' souls. So that was inspired by a conversation, a real life conversation that I had with someone that on that particular day, and then I came across this, this post, and then I just decided to post it. You know, it's how some things just triggers us, or it's a confirmation of what you discussed, and then that was my reason for posting, and yeah, because yeah, let me just leave it at that for now.
Yeah, no, that's quite
Yeah.
sufficient. Okay, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So we see the reason why you were spurred on to post, and then the topic that you actually
Right.
tried to.
Yeah.
And what impression were you trying to create, or what was your outcome?
Good question. I think the reason was almost like an awareness, or to see if there's anybody else that shared the same sentiment that,
Okay.
that as I and myself and this person that I was discussing it with, and it was actually a concern for us.
Yeah.
You know, the concern that we are in this day and age in the church, because we are all like in the church,
Yeah.
that we can so easily overlook. Not that we are we're being judgmental, but we feel that, you know, when those who are in leadership or especially the music ministry, they have a role to play in the sense that they lead us into worship. So that when you are in the worship team, you need to have a sense of, I won't say blameless, but we have to set an example and to get the Spirit of the Lord, others, to lead others into worship.
Yeah.
So hence that was our topic of discussion, and that prompted me to
post
yeah.
that. And you, Pastor Sam?
Yeah, I think for me, there's 3 platforms that I commonly use. So
Oh, this was, sorry, by the way,
so-
Pastor, it was Facebook.
Facebook.
Pastor Lee, it was
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've used Facebook.
Yeah.
I think I posted sometime last week.
Yeah.
As part of my industry that I'm in education. So
Awesome.
and I do training and development as
Wow.
well for practitioners and for teachers. So I definitely use the Facebook platform for marketing purposes, for
Yeah.
the school, to give an update as to what's happening with the little leaves in the preschools.
Right.
You know, so it's really just to create a brand awareness of what's happening in the different schools, and also just to engage with our parents in a different way.
Yeah.
Just, okay, here's a picture of your child, or here's something
Awesome.
the child did,
Yeah.
that was cute in the school
Yes.
or in the classroom, and just spark some interest
Right.
for the parents as well, you know. Then the second one was WhatsApp. So I posted this morning, and I used the statuses, which my husband called trendline.
Yeah.
But I've used the status to obviously market and just create some awareness to today's show, you know.
Yes,
And
yeah.
also just give people an update and an insight as to what's happening in my life this morning.
Right.
And what is the other? Instagram. Don't go to Instagram,
Either.
because Instagram,
Okay.
if you go on there, I literally just go onto the stories to get an update as to what's happening in people's lives.
Yeah.
But I've posted last on Instagram on my birthday last year,
Yeah.
and that
Okay.
was the last that I've posted on
Yeah.
Instagram. So
Right.
yeah, I think the different platforms provides different opportunities
Yes.
for engagement, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the last time that
Definitely.
I've posted.
Wow,
Yes,
that sounds
yeah.
very healthy. Me, you're supposed to be
You
in the
Pastor
mirror,
Lee.
ladies.
Oh, okay.
Why did I post? Well, I usually use the Facebook platform because I think many of my connections that I have are ministerial. We
Yeah.
also I'm from a Rock City church. We're
Yeah.
busy with a big and exciting
Yeah.
project
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
the moment. We are
Awesome.
erecting a dome, and
Yeah.
we're moving our church, and this
So
will be our first.
exciting, eh?
Exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think what's current and what's happening in my life,
Yeah.
I post on a personal level.
Yeah.
I do like sharing my fun and joyous moments.
Yeah.
And I think ministry is something that I want to create awareness of. So I post fairly regularly.
Yeah.
Could be even daily, and I usually use the Facebook platform.
Right.
So Facebook would be the first one, and I think I don't like posting more than once a day.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's too much posting. But that's me. And the other platforms, I try to use Instagram more, but Instagram is like a whole science by itself. And
Yeah.
I just
I'm not
like it for
keen
what I
on
like it for, and I
Instagram.
don't want to totally get submerged
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But that's that. So those were our reasons for posting. Check yourself.
Yeah.
What is the reason why you post? Do you know why you post? Have you given it some
Right.
thought? Is it something that just happens in a haphazard way? Do you find yourself posting more than you should, or have you
Yeah.
decided how many times or what it is that you are going to post
Right.
about? Have you taken cognizance of the great opportunity that you have
Yeah.
as having a responsibility with your voice and how you're going to use it? So that is our question for you. Run to your mirrors and get it and ask yourself those questions.
Right.
Well, I want to get into it, and I want to get into the show with our conversation topics. And this morning, we really want to talk about how healthy are your socials. And by socials, I'm referring to the most common and popular social media platforms like your Facebook, like your
Yes.
Instagram, like your
WhatsApp.
Twitter, and WhatsApp as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to explore what it is, how it is that we interact with these mediums, how healthy are our relationship with these mediums,
Right.
and have we kept ourselves in check, and what is the influence that these mediums have been in, or what form and shape has it taken in your life? The socials are definitely here to stay. But in terms of how we will relate with it, to it, is
Yeah.
definitely a decision that I believe that we should make very deliberately. So starting off our conversation, I'm going to go over to Pastor Samantha Retief. Now, a couple of years ago, you can give me the date, Pastor Sam, you entered a very wonderful and fun pageant. It was the Mrs. South Africa pageant. And I know that there were so many things that you guys had to do
Yeah.
online. So don't you want to take us firstly through the journey of how you decided to do that, and then maybe how it adjusted your relationship with online?
Yeah, so I think I've had the privilege of entering and competing in the Mrs. SA, which I call the MBA of life, because it literally felt like another job that you had to take on, you know. And I think the perspective around social media completely changed and shifted my view around what is the purpose of social media. And I think at that stage, the organization was so good in providing us with the necessary support in terms of the legalities, the policies, you know, being crisp around what will you use social media for. And at that stage, I was already, I think I'm not going to give my age, but I was already in my late 30s.
Yeah.
And which was about 4 years ago. So you can calculate.
Or not.
Or not, yeah. But at that stage, I had no social media footprint at all. No
Okay.
Facebook. I don't know if I was scared about it. No social media footprint at all. And here, suddenly, there's this expectation that is created on you to become a brand ambassador for an organization called the Mrs. South Africa and all their key sponsors. And it was overwhelming at the beginning, Pastor Lee, because obviously I had no clue in terms of the terminology that was used, you know, the lingo,
The hashtag.
the hashtags. What is hashtag? How do you tag? How
Right.
do you?
Yeah.
And you know, and I remember Joni, the CEO, was talking about how we needed to remain open to newness,
Yes.
and how we should embrace that. And I think at that stage of my life, I was quite open to exploring new things and moving out of my comfort zone, because it was something that I've never done before.
Yes.
And also having some brilliant mentors that came on board, that coached and guided us around, listen, social media must be able to reflect still your core identity, in the sense of what is your values and how do you use this platform still to show what is your core values, you know. So at that time I looked at what was important to me, what was my values, and obviously it was family, it was ministry, it was God, it was church, it was my daughters, it was marriage, it was parenting, it was empowerment. And how was I going to use this social media platform to actually demonstrate and highlight all these significant elements of my life that is important to me, and also use it as a platform to make God proud, you know. So I definitely saw it as a campaign, social media campaign, and I also saw it as an opportunity to create a personal brand for myself.
Wow.
And how would I utilize Facebook and Instagram to correctly reflect who I was. And yeah, I think if I needed to put a tag to it, I would say hashtag create your own destiny magazine, so people can have an insight to your own life. So yes, Pastor Lee, that's what we were expected to do.
It is interesting, Pastor Sam, because you were almost like a virgin social.
A novice,
Yes.
Yeah. And no, but it is, because then you were introduced to it almost in a way that had a goal and objective.
Yes.
And but that's not the way that many people are introduced to social media. It's usually out of a popular culture and out of almost a desire to know what's happening and what's going on. How were you introduced to the social media platforms?
I was introduced to the social media platform by force, actually, and through my children and the dynamics in our family. You know, the fact that my daughter is overseas, and I'd like to, see my grandchildren and see, how their lives, pardon me, progress. And, they actually spurred me on to get, because remember, for us born before technology, it's quite a challenge to get onto any of these platforms, So it was very interesting for me to learn and to get used to this. I'm still not 100% used to these different kinds of platforms. I need to be honest with you. Like Pastor Sam just said, with Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm not fond of Instagram, or Twitter or whatever the other platforms.
Yeah,
that,
you kind
that
of
they-
choose, or you
I'm-
gravitate to what you're
Yes,
good at.
and I think it's more also because of a comfort zone that we are in at this age,
Yeah.
So you choose what you want, you're interested in. But it was actually very beneficial to us as a family, because then I got to see my grandkids more often. Because I only get to see them physically in person
When you
once a
take a trip,
year
yeah.
or twice a year when I take a trip. And so for me, that was very helpful. And then also connecting with family members overseas. I don't know about you, but we also
Or
have
staying abreast of what they're doing,
What
if
they
they
do.
what
online
they're doing.
posters. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so an interesting thing emerges here. You can see the great aspects of
Yeah.
social media,
Yes.
how you can maintain connectivity
Right.
and how you can embark on completely new adventures. But there are so many dynamics to discuss in this
Right,
space.
yes.
So I want to get back to the Mrs. South Africa pageant. So what are the types of because I know that it was quite demanding on you
Yes.
guys.
Yeah.
So what take us through those steps? How did you adjust, and how did you make space for that in your unsocial media life before?
Yeah, I think it was quite a challenge, Pastor Lee and Pastor V, because obviously you needed to actually allocate and assign time in your day, and also you needed to make sure, if you are not cautious, this thing can consume you, because it pulls you in.
Absolutely.
It takes your attention
Yeah.
away from being present in the moment, And I loved at the time I had a Samsung phone, and if my husband would see me, he would call me, Mrs. Samsung. So that was the joke in the house, because you needed to allocate time.
Yeah.
And for me, that was quite a challenge, because you've got the demands in your household,
Yes.
you've got the demands at work,
Yeah.
and suddenly now you have this extra burden of creating a social media platform where you need to represent a specific brand in a specific way.
Yeah.
You needed to make sure you fulfill the requirements that they have. There were words like, it needs to be sophisticated, it needs to be of high quality in terms of the pictures that you post. You actually needed to go and create content and align the content to what
was happening?
was happening and what your sponsors wanted from you. So in a way, they owned you for that period of time. So
Right.
you literally signed away your public life. And for someone that has been private for such a long time,
Yeah.
it
That
was
must have
quite
been
an
quite
adjustment.
intense.
Yeah.
Quite an adjustment.
Was it pressure?
Yes. It felt a bit pressured at the beginning, but I must be honest, Pastor Violet, I roped in the help
Yeah.
of our media team at church.
Oh, you
Wow.
cheated.
And I cheated a bit, yeah, because it just became overwhelming
is.
Yeah.
at some
Yeah.
point. But obviously, having to set time to show also your followers that you are actively engaging, you are responding to comments,
Yeah.
and that takes time. So I set aside 10 to 12 at night, which was the only
Wow.
time I had to make sure that I can respond to my followers, also to show them that I am engaged and
Yeah. You raised something interesting, the sponsors. You had to represent something. Now, you know
Yes.
the phenomena
Yeah.
of influencers.
Yes.
Yes.
So the influencers are pushing out a product and different marketing types of messages for people that they represent.
Yeah.
And there's a commerce to social media.
Yes.
And I think people have made incredible amounts of money
Yeah.
just being on the different social media platforms. You have the online shops.
Yeah.
You have the money that people get for promoting products,
Yeah.
like shopping vouchers. So there's definitely a commerce to that.
Right.
You know, the one thing that you see over and over again, it's like it truly is an industry unto itself.
Yes.
And if I think about all the great things that we had managed to do, we have this partners class at church.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how this question, or more so the answer to this question, has changed throughout the years.
Yeah.
So we initially started our ministry and we did the conventional advertising. The conventional advertising included word of mouth, obviously, which we call evangelism.
Yeah.
You know, bring your fish to church.
Yeah.
And then it also included the billboards
Yeah.
and included paraphernalia like flyers. So that's how you would circulate and get people to come to the church that
Yeah.
you launched. And in our partners class, when people decided to take right-hander fellowship, the first thing that we would ask is, how did you end up being here? And in the first couple of years, it always used to be, I saw the billboard on the
Right.
road.
Yes.
And, you know, and we always said, thank God for that billboard. Thank
Yeah.
God for that billboard. But now the answer is entirely different. I
Yeah.
saw you online.
Yes.
I watched something
Right.
on Facebook.
Yeah.
It has completely revolutionized
Yeah.
not
Definitely.
only how we interact with our congregants, but how they interact with us.
Yes.
So we do see that, like I say, social media is not going anywhere,
Yeah.
but how do we determine what is healthy and what
Yeah.
isn't healthy? So I'm going to ask you ladies another question, and that is, how many platforms are you on? But you guys are fairly moderate, I must say. We should have had like a social media junkie in here.
I know, yeah. Now for me, it's just the I said Facebook and then WhatsApp.
Facebook and WhatsApp.
And then obviously I'll browse the internet,
Yeah.
you know, scroll through and do some reading. I love to do reading, which
Which one's your favorite?
of the two,
Yeah.
Facebook.
And which one do you have a problem with? Which one are you a problem on?
I'm not a problem on either one of them. I think I just feel like Pastor Sam said, sometimes it can be very time consuming, and my husband has a problem with that. And
Yeah.
I actually had to check myself
Yeah.
and how much time I'm spending on you know, the Facebook or on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Because it can also be very helpful, a very helpful tool, especially the WhatsApp,
Yeah.
to send messages for communication, especially with the counseling,
Yeah.
or just making a coffee date or whatever.
Yeah, it's incredibly convenient.
Very, very convenient. And you're saving on your airtime, it's, you know,
Yeah.
you're using your data. And like I said, because they say the average person uses spends 2 hours on
On their phones.
their phones during the day, per day, you know, on these different platforms. So I didn't want it to interfere with my relationship.
Yeah.
You know, it's very important that we keep our relationships healthy.
Healthy.
Because, you know, when you go to a restaurant, you can actually see people around a dinner table,
Sitting on their
everybody
phones.
sitting with their
So
phones.
bad.
So
Yeah.
it can be very antisocial. So we need to guard ourselves and monitor ourselves
Yeah.
so that we have strike a balance.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
between
not
that. Okay.
between
So
Yes.
so you've chosen the two, and you,
Right.
Pastor Sam?
Yeah, I've definitely also I think I've chosen, obviously with my daughter's currently studying in Stellenbosch, so I love what Pastor Violet has said, so the video calling and those
Yeah.
type of things, it makes accessibility and staying connected
Yes.
so accessible
Yeah.
for us,
Yeah.
so I don't know how we would have managed if
If you didn't,
we
Yes.
didn't,
Yes.
so there's still that sense of, okay, I'm updated, we are informed, we get to have family time,
Right.
call in, check
Yes.
up on her, counsel coach.
So you're also a
guide.
WhatsApp.
So I'm a WhatsApper, yeah.
Yeah.
But I also love Instagram.
Yeah.
No
Is it
doubt.
so pretty?
I think it's so pretty. Like it's so glam. Everything about it is just it's attractive.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I also Facebook I use for advertising purposes. Instagram I use for my personal
yeah.
things, and then also WhatsApp for connectivity purposes.
Yeah, for more intimate. Okay, so
Yeah,
you've
cool.
categorized. You guys are
Yeah.
really very healthy. Okay, so me, I'm on Twitter, but I don't tweet.
You don't tweet, yeah.
I like the commerce about Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I go in every time Elon says something. I am on Facebook on a personal capacity and then on a ministerial capacity, and I think I am a prolific poster there. I am on Instagram, but I do have a private account because I don't
Yeah.
really feel like I want to be that public.
Yeah.
But I actually recently opened up a ministry
Yeah.
Instagram page, and I'm going to try and build that up for the purposes
Yeah.
of, I'll tell you now.
Yeah.
I've realized that social media is here, and it is such an influencer of
Yes.
young people.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a bit later about the negative things that happen. And what is very apparent to me is that we need adequate representation
Yes.
of people that model good marriages, that are Christian,
Yeah.
that are people
Yes,
of faith,
yes.
that speak about the healthier side of
Yeah.
life. And we also have to use that platform to represent
Yeah.
the gospel, to
Yeah.
represent
Right.
the
Yeah.
positive, to represent that.
Amen.
So for us to shun it and just step away and just
Yeah.
say, oh no, you guys are
Yeah.
doing this and you guys are doing that, is so unhealthy and it's not progressive. So that is the reason why I also think it's a responsibility, if you have a public platform or a ministry, to actually use that platform to also have a voice in what it is that you represent and believe.
Yeah.
And but it's extraordinary. I'm going to share some stats with you of the overview of social media use, and this was taken in January 2022, so they are fairly recent. The number of social media users
Yeah.
are 4.6 billion people. A quarter on quarter change on social media users. So it increases by 1.7%, which is roughly 77 million users.
Wow.
Year on year change in social media users, it increases by 424 million.
Wow.
The average daily time spent using social media sits at 2 hours, 27 minutes. And that has also increased by an additional 2 million users. People are using it much more frequently. The average number of social platforms used each month is 7.5. 7.5. People are on 7.5 different mediums. I don't know if have you noticed you can actually link certain accounts
Yes.
together so
Yes.
that you you can just post on one platform
Yes.
and it kind of
Right.
filters to the
Filters,
others.
yeah.
But you get other people that don't, and they're actually using all these platforms.
Yeah.
Social media users versus total population, 58.4%. So it's over half of us.
Yep.
Social
It's a
media
lot.
users versus population age 13, 74.8%. Social media users versus total internet users, 93.4%. So the internet is one thing, it's a
Yeah.
great tool, but people are on social media, which is not
Right.
necessarily very, very educational. Female social media users versus total social media users,
Yeah.
46.1. So we're just under.
Yeah.
The men can still be the baddies. And then the male social media users versus total social medias, and they're sitting on 53.9%.
Yeah.
So we see that an incredible amount of people
Yes.
are on these platforms. So it's not something that you can ignore. So let us go on to things like education. Given those statistics and given those realities, we do see here that it is something that we have to either empower ourselves in, or we have to take deliberate steps to be responsible in. And the reason for my point is that social media impacts our teenagers. Social media is impacting their behavior. It is impacting their mental health. So what can we say about that? What are your feelings on those?
Yeah, no doubt, personally. Like, I mean, those statistics are scary, to say the least. And it's an indication that social media is here to stay.
Yeah.
You know, and I think just like anything in life, if you don't understand the purpose of something, misuse will happen.
Yeah.
And very similar to providing our teenagers with this tool, and they just have access to it, and it's readily available to them on a daily basis. So you're constantly consumed by what's happening on social media. They're dragged into it, and also it somehow it provides them or pushes them into conforming. In terms of their behavior, you know, and the feed that's being pushed onto, based on the algorithms pushed into the social media platforms. So scary statistic. And if I look at it, I've got I've got a teenager, and then I've got a young adult as well. And just chatting to them already, I can see the negative impact that social media is having on them. Something like self-esteem, something like peer pressure, something like feeling that I'm not making progress in my life, stuff like there's comparison, stuff like I'm missing out on something.
FOMO is real.
I'm not doing enough in my life, you know, so that social anxiety is quite real for our teenagers. And I read I just want to read it for you. There is other statistics that I've just found. It says the studies of the University of Pittsburgh shows that 73%, let me just go back here, 67% of participants that's using social media is left feeling worse about their lives. Another 73% felt pressured to post content that boosted their appearance. To others, 60% felt pressure to tailor content so that they become more popular. And 80% reported that they were affected negatively by social media, and that they were engaging on drama on social media. So it definitely impacts our teens in a different way.
You know, what you can definitely learn about this is that people have different experiences depending on, firstly, their boundaries, and then if they haven't taken responsibility for their behavior, and for if they don't know what it is that they want, and if they haven't put fail-safe measures in place. So how did you guide your very young and beautiful girls through this? Because you know better, so you have to coach them. You know, the cool thing about people that weren't on social media before, like Pastor Vi was saying, she was born
before technology.
BBT. So she was born before technology, which means that they had a way of forming their identities before. You established who you were. You played. You worked out your fights with people. You discovered your interpersonal skills, like, hey, I'm good at this, or you know, people will modify you. People will help you be mature in life. And with this generation, they hit the internet running. They exposed to it much sooner, and that is actually forming their identity. So how did you help coach your girls, and what measures did you place in?
Personally, if I look at my daughters, that the eldest one was already on social media. I had no idea.
But didn't she have the discussion with you?
She had a discussion with me.
Like,
but
Mom,
no, she already had a social media account.
Wow.
It was only the second one that literally came, which is my baby. Mom, can I? And I think the condition I had was, as long as I am following you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to be
Don't
able
try
to
and
have,
ghost me.
Yes.
Don't unblock
Don't
me.
unblock
Don't
me.
unfriend me.
Yeah, you're naughty. So I had access, and that gave me a sense of comfortability.
Right.
So
to
you
say
were like
yes.
an online mom
Yes.
stalker.
Yes.
Okay.
No, not a
which is very
stalker.
good.
We-
Very good.
yeah.
I agree with it. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was the condition, and I think it creates a healthy tension
Yes,
for
it
us,
does.
because now I am aware of exactly what's happening in their
Yeah.
lives,
Yeah.
and I can see if I can scroll and go and have a look and say, okay, these are the accounts that they are following, but I don't do that because I
Okay.
believe we've raised them in such a way that I can trust them.
So that's
that
the
they will be
monitoring.
responsible.
That's the monitoring
Yes.
aspect. But how?
Yeah.
But then how did you help them? Because they have to take
Yes.
ownership of their own time, their
Yes.
own images,
Right.
and their own mental health.
Yes.
So how did you help
Yes.
them with that?
Well, helping them with that.
Yeah.
Obviously, if there's a post that I don't necessarily approve
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
Doesn't have the mom stamp.
yes, then you'll coach and guide.
Yes.
you know. So
And explain.
I believe I need to give them the freedom.
Yes.
just
Yeah.
to be
Very
themselves
important,
as well. I cannot control every decision.
Yeah.
I believe that we have given them the tools in order to make the right decisions,
Yeah.
whether it be on social media
Yeah.
or the choices that they make with their friends. And also that they have the ability to discern, to say, well, I'm on social media, I need to practice discernment, even on this platform.
Yeah.
I need to be able to discern between what followers do I, or
Yeah.
what content do I
What
view.
association am
Yeah.
I making?
Exactly.
And have you
Yeah.
noticed that
Exactly.
people are actually, Pastor Violet,
Yeah.
in your job interviews nowadays, they're going into your online history,
Exactly.
your social media history,
Yes.
like as part of your CVs, like,
Right.
eh, what type of person is
Yeah.
this?
Yes.
And you have the other side where, especially with the young adults,
Yes.
Yeah.
is that they suffer huger consequences in case something goes very wrong.
Yeah.
Things go viral.
Yeah.
It stays on the internet forever.
That's
and everybody, it's like a little tiny thing is exasperated
That's the
100-fold
downside of the
of the
social
social
media.
media.
Yeah.
You know, my grandson is a preteen, so he is 11 years old, and I was told by his mom he's on TikTok.
Yeah.
So
and did
he-
you like it? Did you like that idea, or you weren't okay with it?
Not too, impressed because of the concerns that I obviously had.
Yeah.
So I had to question his mom and ask her,
Yeah.
how does she feel about it?
Yeah.
Fortunately, she said to me, look, she's also monitoring,
Yes.
what's happening. She knows that he has like 2,000 followers.
Followers,
He's like a
Yeah.
celebrity on TikTok.
Yeah. And then I said, okay, so like, what does he actually do? Like, what does he post on
Yeah.
these? So he's a little basketball player. So it's like all these basketball things that he
Okay,
posts.
so he has a passion and he's expressing
He's
it that
expressing
way.
his
Okay.
passion, and so she said, okay, but they also correct him when he puts the wrong things out there, or so you get a little bit of criticism. And I said, okay, that's good, because he is a little strong-willed, a fellow,
Yeah.
and just like his mom, very strong-willed. She says it's a punishment to have someone to raise almost herself,
her.
someone like her. So yeah, so for me that was very interesting, because like I said, my concern was just the negativity, the bullying that we
Yes.
know about, the bullying that
Yes.
takes place, and we always look at, like, sometimes we focus on the negativity,
Yes.
but there's also good in it.
Yeah.
There's definitely good, so they'll get to learn. And you know that like Pastor Lee said earlier on, these platforms and technology are here to stay, because we're living in the fourth industrial revolution.
Yes.
And so it's not going to change. It just make things a little bit more faster.
Yeah.
The social whatever,
Yeah.
effect. It's just faster and bigger,
Yeah.
larger crowds, larger, But yeah, I think it's a good side and a bad
And a
side.
bad.
And the most important thing is that there's parental guidance,
Yes.
especially at that young age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually know I have one more social media site that I didn't declare, Pinterest.
Yes, I love it. I love it. By the
think-
way, but
yes,
yeah,
Pinterest I think is my favorite.
Yeah.
On a scale of favorites to non-favorites, Pinterest will be my favorite.
Yeah.
And then my least favorite on earth is WhatsApp.
yeah,
Lord Jesus. And I think that different age groups gravitate towards
Yes.
different social media
Definitely,
platforms. I know the
definitely.
Insta Nation is
Yes.
definitely your kind of
Yeah.
tween adult
Yeah.
or young adult. I think your generation are the WhatsAppers.
yes. We
And I only
definitely
know
are.
that intel by virtue of seeing my father.
Yeah.
He can sit like this forever. He loves WhatsApp, and you watch those so many videos, those little
Yes,
streams,
yes.
and you watch it loud.
Yeah.
You like it loud. So that's on a scale there. But I want to also talk about the design of the social media platforms. So I was watching or doing some research on how they were actually designed, and some interesting things came up. Like, for example, there were some social media sites that actually on their design team,
Yeah.
they would hire people who are called attention engineers.
Sure.
There's actually a person like that, an
Sure.
attention
Wow.
engineer. And what this person would do is design mechanisms and interfaces to keep your attention constantly. And then we also have the notifications. I read something interesting, or I learned something interesting, that the newsfeed button on the Facebook interface, it was actually a new thing that they put there. Well, as it evolved, and it's designed so that you don't have to. You keep your hand in your resting position, so you don't have to do anything.
Sure.
You just kind of keep your finger there, and it drifts over the screen, and that is designed so that it doesn't inconvenience you too much, so that you can stay online and you can stay engaged and interactive on these sites. And then you also get the notifications,
Yeah.
and they refer to this as the magic of maybe.
Yes.
So with the notifications popping up, you access your phone because there might be something that is interesting for you. And the reason why you have this pick up and engage
Yeah.
type of inclination is because of what they call the dopamine surge
It's
that
so
you get.
It's so true.
So when you receive the affirmation, or you receive the like, or what happens is that it gives you a kick of dopamine,
Yeah,
dopamine,
dopamine, yeah.
which they equate to a cocaine shot.
Yes,
And so you get this high, and your body now likes it, and then you actually rewire your brain, which changes your behavior.
Yes.
So it's like we do know that we are on social media, and it's healthy and it's nice, but there is something deep inside of us that we have to empower ourselves to the extent that we understand how the mechanism itself is designed
Yes.
to keep you there and be unhealthy in your life.
Right.
And we are the ones that bear the consequences. Let us talk about the impact that it has on relationships. What happens if you have a person in a relationship? Like you both mentioned something. Your husband doesn't like it when you're on there too much, or you have to meter your time. And you mentioned that your new name was Samsung. So let's talk about the impact of that in relationships. And I actually learned a term. It's called fubbing, by the way.
Yeah.
It's when you snub somebody with a phone.
Yeah.
So I'll act it out for you, because I'm
Yeah.
dramatic
Okay.
like that. So you would be sitting on, I'll be talking to you, and then I pick
Right.
up the phone, and then I'm fubbing now.
Okay.
Yeah. So you favor your phone in company.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do we feel it impacts our relationships?
Yeah, I think scary. I chatted to my daughters around this,
Yeah.
and fubbing is real. You know, I think what happens is you become, I almost call it addicted.
Yeah.
To this dopamine levels that is now being spurred on, and it creates an euphoria by you that you want more.
Yeah.
And I think if you're not cautious, and if you're already on social media and you're not in a good place,
Yeah.
or you're looking for a place to hide, or
Right.
you have social anxiety, then this can become an escape mechanism
Yes,
for
definitely.
you. So we have to be so cautious about the use of social media, and also the concept of if I am utilizing, or I've got a great followership,
Yeah.
and my followers are so well, I'm so well liked, or I'm so popular, or
Right.
I am acing all the likes, and
Yeah.
I'm
You're
acing,
scoring,
I'm
you're
just
shining.
scoring,
Yeah.
and I'm just getting all these notifications. It really does draw you in,
Yeah.
and you can become addicted
Yeah.
to it, just like any other thing.
Yeah.
So we have to be so cautious, and that's why I call it, we need to practice discernment as
Yes.
well. Even if it means that you need to, I don't know if you can, Pastor Lee, switch off the notifications. I don't know if that's possible at all.
Yeah.
Just so that you are able to be engaged in the now. I think that one of the reasons I have posted in a long time on Instagram, on my personal page, was because last year people had gone through so much mental unwellness.
Yeah.
And I just felt like it was the timing for my posts and sharing this, all the do they call it,
Epiphany.
it was just not the right time
Yeah.
to post while people are going through trauma in their lives.
Yeah.
So we have to practice discernment, and we also, have to be cautious
Yeah.
in not utilizing social media
Yeah.
to gain acceptance, because
true.
followers
Mean something
does
else.
not mean
Yes.
acceptance.
Yeah.
Followers does not mean you belong to the specific
Yeah.
crowd,
Right.
And I think no doubt, if I look at, especially because we are believers,
Yeah.
and especially with regards to our teens,
Yes.
if you are already struggling with your identity and you're looking to form or find your identity,
Yes.
or find
the wrong
security,
place.
it's the
It's
wrong
definitely,
platform.
yes.
So we need to be able to have those open conversations with our children to say acceptance, security, significance, belonging, all of those things you're going to find by the master designer, and that's
Yes.
God.
Amen.
And you need to be able to coach and guide your children, and
Yes.
take them back to
Yes. you
the
do.
master designer, which is ultimately God,
Yeah.
So I think we need to strike a fair balance. While social media is there, I think the social impact that it has on our teenagers is quite significant. I mean, there has been studies that has gone out to show that children between the ages of 10 and 14, the suicide rate has literally tripled
Right.
in the last couple of years.
That's true.
They've also found that children who spend at least 2 hours on social media feel
Depressed.
depressed.
Yeah.
So all those type of things. We don't want to put a doom and gloom on social media,
Yeah.
but I think
Yeah.
we need to also tread
you
with
do.
caution
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
when it comes
And we have to
it
face
as
that
well.
fact. I mean, if you're saying the usage directly relates to the suicide, you have to
Yes.
marry those two together.
That's right.
And more than that, it's a call to action. It's a
Exactly.
call to actions like
Yeah.
you need to very aggressively
Yeah.
and honestly evaluate
Yeah.
Yeah.
how it is that we're using it. And we need to
Yeah.
put measures in place even for ourselves as
Yeah.
grown-ups.
Exactly.
Because we can be the biggest naughty babies ever.
That's true. That's so true.
And then talk to us about relationships from your perspective,
Well,
Pastor Vi.
From my personal experience, it really impacted negatively on my relationship with my husband. Look, we are in that emptiness syndrome right now. We it's just the two of us. So when I'm on social media, he feels left out.
Yeah, because he would be left out because
Yeah.
he's not on social media.
He's not on social media. His thing is WhatsApp and
Yeah.
all those little videos that gets those funny
I know
videos.
those type.
Yes, that gets sent around, and so he just has a big laugh. And when he's done with it,
He's done,
yeah,
yes.
he's done. And so here I am.
And you're still putting
And
in your
I'm
time.
still
yeah.
I'm still putting in time, and I'm on Facebook, and the notifications has triggered me.
Yeah, they're calling me,
They're
they're
calling
calling
me, and so I'm really hooked, and I want to see more, and so I had to do introspection.
Yeah.
Pastor Sam, and I had to be honest with myself and said, Violet, you are spending too much time on the social, and you need to listen to your husband, and Not that I'm gonna, and we had to negotiate
Yeah,
almost,
some
you know, like
social
have a
media time.
conversation and say, okay, I'm gonna have time from this time to that, you know, like in the evening, and at a certain time I need to be in bed and I need to switch off and I need to put
You need to look into my eyes.
Yes, girls, let me not go into too much detail there. Yeah, but definitely, and I think men, we still, as human beings, we need that physical, those moments, those cuddling and whatever. So those are the things that the social media cannot do for us.
Yes.
And to a certain extent, we have fallen into this trap of therefore even our youngsters are this is our go-to, like you just said, the comfort
Yes.
to fill a void in our
Escape,
lives.
yeah.
Because look, the reality is that there are lonely people,
Yeah.
there are in our age groups,
Yeah.
there are lonely people
Yeah.
who finds comfort in social media.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you still have a warm body next to you, you need to pay attention to that warm body.
No, that's definitely true. And
Yeah.
you bring up the relationship management as well. You know, you've mentioned something about earlier. You say you see people sitting in restaurants and they kind of both on there.
Yeah.
So you don't know if it's a blessing or if it's
Yeah.
that you're both addicted to social media. So who's gonna check who? But you know what is cool is that the phones come with, or the devices come with these cool fail-safe measures.
Yeah.
My kids are young, so I haven't yet been attacked with the social media pressures, but they do use devices, and so their online usage is something that could possibly have the same type of effects. You're sitting on for a long period of time. They also have there's something physiological, or there's a blue light that all devices and screens emit.
Yeah.
Which affects the way your brain works, and
Yes.
it keeps you awake.
Yeah.
And so those types of things are detrimental for our younger little viewers.
Yeah.
And so Apple has come up, or I'm sure it happens on all types of phones. I diss Apple, I diss Samsung because it's just a joke. It's a joke in
And
in,
I
in
love
our house.
Samsung.
Is it on your Samsung? It's like Leander came in a bit later on, and Pastor Violet was trying to send her something, and she said, "Can I Bluetooth it?" And so Leander's like, "I'm Apple. I'm of iPhone." So we have the same kind of banter. We have the same kind of banter in our home. You know, the Androids. I diss them all the time. So because I have a superior phone,
Yeah. Okay.
they have created something called family sharing.
Yes.
And it's wonderful if you have small children. And I advocate it to all parents who are able to do that. You can control their devices through your own device.
Yeah.
You link it, and you can put measures in place. You can view what they're seeing. You can block certain sites off. So that's what you can do for, obviously, your family,
Yeah.
if you are able to. And then I know Android does have a similar device or a similar type of setup. My dad joked with me, and he says, "You wish you could put your husband on that, don't you?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do."
You know, talking about and relationships.
Yeah.
My daughter and her husband both has iPhones.
Do they do the iPhone sharing as well?
And they do the sharing, so they can actually read one another's messages and see, you know, what comes up, you know, whatever the other person is getting.
Yeah.
And for me, that is very scary or daunting. But it just also builds into almost like a trust. You need to have a really good trust relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, because very, very transparent. Be very transparent if you are going to see what your husband, the messages that your husband are getting, or vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes I think I'm calling my daughter and I'm.
Phoning everyone.
You understand? So I honestly need to be cautious what I'm saying to my daughter. Fortunately, I have a good relationship with my son-in-law. I love him too.
That's so funny. But it introduces to, I know we weren't scheduled to discuss that, but I think I'll raise it nonetheless. Don't you find that social media has influenced relationships in a sense, in a different sense, in a behavioral sense?
Yeah.
Where imagine you're in a relationship and you're both social media users. It's like if it's someone's birthday and you don't post, you can
Yes.
or
Oh my God.
I've heard of scenarios where you like another page too much.
Yeah.
Why are you liking that?
Yes,
So it's like it becomes embedded into your relationship. And you have these statuses that you have to declare.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it can be a thing if you in a new relationship and things are going well, and then it's like, but he hasn't updated his status. It's like if it hasn't been posted on social media, did it even happen?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you find that
Right.
at all?
Yes,
When
yes.
people place such importance on the status and what
Yeah.
your posts are,
Yes.
where it becomes like possibly an area of conflict. Have you guys been exposed to any of that?
Not for me,
Yeah.
not really. I just feel that for me, the people's posts are very informative to
Yeah.
me personally at
Yeah.
my age.
Yeah.
That one of the excuses that I give my husband also, it's not really, maybe it's a valid reason, that I can actually see who passed away. What's happening, especially during COVID.
And birthdays, it's
And
so
birthdays.
helpful.
And
Yeah.
birthdays, yeah, it's very, very helpful. So where you have forgotten about somebody's birthday, it's
Yes.
like, oh my goodness, I saw on
Yes.
Facebook it's so and so's birthday.
Yes.
So it's helpful too,
It does.
and it keeps us abreast of what's going on in the social circles, What I've also discovered about social media, and especially with Facebook, coming to the likes. I know about the algorithms, and it's actually the more you respond also to others' posts.
Yes.
That there's something about the algorithm that
Yeah.
it will then make your likes also more. What I've noticed is that one can also see who's your true friends if one has to judge
Yeah.
according to the likes and the comments on social media.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
dangerous.
Yeah.
No, it's true. No, man. I personally, then I'm like,
Explain
okay,
yourself,
I
Pastor
know.
Joan.
What I'm trying to
Yeah.
say is like, you know that so and so is your friend, a close friend, and they are on the specific platform that you are on,
yeah.
and you never see them. When you've posted
Yes.
something, you never see them saying,
Commenting.
commenting,
Yeah.
and then you ask yourself, well,
Yeah.
I don't know how much this person is into me.
And that's the play that happens, I think.
I just want to say
That's exactly what
it is-
happens.
It is so dangerous
it
because
is.
it's
Yeah.
almost like you're waiting
Yes.
for
And
someone
you
to say
shouldn't.
something.
It's
Right.
unfair,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is that
Yeah.
we can make
Yeah.
a lot of assumptions.
Right.
And maybe the person doesn't post, or
Yes.
maybe the
Yeah.
person has a job that's not on there, and you're
Right.
like, this is an opportunity for you to post and say something and comment, and you didn't. And then you can, in real life, be upset with that
Yes.
person.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so you find that there is a filter of
yes.
online that happens in your life.
It's so
Yeah.
true.
And so it's a real dynamic that we
Yes.
kind of have to
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
at and be real
Yeah.
about.
That's
Yeah.
right, because someone said to me, you know what? Like my brother, it was my brother. Oh, I saw this on Facebook and I saw that on WhatsApp. And I said, okay, well, so why didn't you comment? I didn't know you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, no, I prefer to just watch. I prefer to just
Yeah.
read and see and
Yeah.
watch what everybody else is doing. And I don't make any comments.
Yeah.
So to me,
you
it's
get
like,
such a different host of
Yes.
of users, eh?
But I also almost want to say, does it not then pose the question that social media also then creates somehow shallow relationships?
yes.
Because
Superficial.
it's
It can be very superficial.
Yes, because now suddenly you can just put a like.
Yeah.
And
And then that's it.
And that's it.
That's right.
That is the
I-
sum
I don't-
total
I don't
of your
need to go-
investment.
Yes, I don't need to go to coffee with you, or I
Yes.
don't need to
Yes.
really call you.
I don't need to pay for a
Yes.
check. I don't need to do anything. Yes.
I don't need
Right.
to call you to celebrate your birthday. I can just put it on my status.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's what I did.
And that's
I've
it.
checked. Yes.
I've checked,
No,
so,
it's very very
yeah.
true, and
Yeah.
it makes us social media as cool and as fun. It makes
Yes.
us so antisocial.
Right.
I had a call from my best friend.
Yeah.
She says, so when you're feeling antsy about something,
Yeah.
you always find someone who can keep you
Yes,
in check, or
yeah,
you can
yeah,
be real
yeah.
with. So she goes,
Right.
do you think that if you a close friend, do you think you can just still send just a WhatsApp? Shouldn't you phone somebody?
call?
Yeah.
Doesn't it qualify anymore? You know, and she
yes.
was quite perturbed about it.
Yeah.
And it is. It's like that's what it is. It's the sum total of that's what I did, and that's
And
it.
that's it.
That's the
Yeah.
sum total of what I'm
Yeah.
prepared to do for
Right.
you.
Yeah.
And then also how you present the WhatsApp sometimes,
Yes.
you know, especially if you're not in good standard with someone, or you know that person is not you're not that person's favorite person. And then if that person didn't say good morning and they just start writing, then you also take, you know, offense and like, okay, so there was no morning, there was just like this
I'm so
message.
guilty of that. Let's get to the point.
So yeah, it's very important how we view these social platforms,
Yeah,
and that we need to continuously check ourselves. You know, like just what effect does it have on us as human beings,
Yeah.
and because like Pastor Lee said, it can be good and bad.
And bad,
Definitely good and bad.
Yeah.
So the most important thing is the balance,
Yeah.
to strike the balance. And you know, when during COVID, I was thinking that the social media or just the technology played such a major role in our lives, especially with the spread of the gospel and
Yes.
keeping in touch with our churches. And it was so important.
We
during
couldn't
that.
have done it without it.
Yeah.
We could not have done
Yes.
it without, and for me it was just a realization that technology was created for the end times.
Yes.
Because now there'll be no one that can say they did not hear the gospel.
Yes.
Because they will hear the gospel through technology.
Yes.
Right? And isn't that what
Yeah.
Christ said? That he will come when everybody has heard the gospel.
Yeah.
So this is a good opportunity
Yeah.
for us to spread the gospel, right?
So true,
Of
Pastor
good news. Yeah.
I think about even for our church,
Yeah.
we're from Ignite Family Ministries,
Yeah.
and even for us, we also never had a social media footprint
Yeah.
prior to COVID, and
Right.
it is incredible that how we were almost pushed.
Yes.
Out of our comfort zones
Yes,
to
yes.
go and create and
Yes.
create content
Right.
and create this footprint. And if I look at it now, just the level of engagement on social
Wow.
media platforms, you know, the ability to take the gospel and to
Yes.
almost also just double your impact and your influence
Yes.
on such
To
a
me-
beautiful platform
Yeah.
called
In the community.
in a community,
yes,
Facebook.
Yeah.
Whilst it has its its
Drawbacks.
downside,
Yeah.
drawbacks as well, in terms of, you know, now people don't necessarily have to go to church because they can watch church online.
Oh, my
and, you know,
goodness.
it just
I'm
makes it
telling.
accessible. It makes the gospel accessible, and
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
allows you a broader audience, not just nationally but also internationally, to impact and influence. You know, so on so many different levels and in so many different homes, you are able to impact and filter the gospel into homes. So,
Yes.
so yeah, it's
very important.
No, it
it's
was.
amazing.
I
It's
actually think it's
amazing.
our responsibility. If you're a believer and you
Yes.
have a platform, any platform,
Yes.
I know that you have your own interests and your own agenda, but at
Yeah.
some point, your viewers, your friends, your
Yeah.
people that you interact with, they must know who
Yeah.
you represent here on earth.
Amen.
I
Yes.
want to just go over to some of the commentary that we've got here. I'm going to read the ones that you guys can interact with. This one is from Gail Briley. She has a young adult daughter as well, and she's saying, social media is making parenting tougher than it used to be. We have to be so much more diligent and deliberate to educate our kids from the influence that it brings. So that's also a dynamic of a mother with a young
Yeah.
teen
Yeah.
daughter. This is Gail again. Some of our kids force us to trust them because they block us from specific posts.
Wow. And they are smarter than.
Oh,
than,
that's so
than-
tough. Eh? I
Oh,
don't know
my
how
word.
I would deal with that. Wouldn't you like go crazy mom on them?
Yeah, I would
Like, don't
go
you dare
ballistic.
Don't
block
you
me.
dare.
Oh.
That's a tough one. Good luck to you, Gail. And then Colleen Peters, who is a teacher, and her year that she teaches are 10-year-olds.
Wow.
And then she says, we are totally losing the interpersonal skills. Youngsters find it difficult to make small talk,
Yes.
which is a skill in
Yes.
itself.
Wow.
When they are in
100%.
new company, they would rather practice fubbing.
Yeah.
That is crazy. And then Tombazi also mentions here that you have true friends versus vanity statistics.
Sure.
So those are some of the comments that we had from our watchers. But it is exciting, it's crazy, and it's
Yes.
real. I think that we would refer to that as the reality versus the highlight
Yes.
reel.
Right.
Is that people post the best part of their
Yes.
lives, the most exciting parts of their lives, and the reality is altogether different.
Yeah.
So be smart about social media, I would say to all our listeners today. Be smart about social media.
Yeah.
Take cognizance of where it is that you find yourself.
Right.
If you haven't decided to be deliberate about how you interact with these platforms, be responsible. And remember, you have a voice, so be responsible and say something. Say something regarding your beliefs. Say something of value. Say something that you can be proud of, because it'll be stuck on the internet forever. And then I'm going to go over to our guests for their last and concluding remarks. And let's start with you, Pastor Sam.
Yeah, so I think my last remarks is validation comes from the inside out.
Yeah.
Social media can never be used as a platform to try and establish your worth, to try and find approval, to try and find acceptance. So it is so important that even in the usage of these different platforms, that you know who you are.
Yeah.
And that is so important. And when you are engaging on these platforms, that you will be authentically you and represent the authenticity and your values on every platform. Also, in closing off, if we don't understand the purpose of something, misuse will happen. And if you have cracks in your life, it is important for you not to utilize social media platforms to hide those cracks or to use it as an escape mechanism, but to go to the master designer who is God, who has the blueprint for your life, and who will be able to fill those cracks so that you can engage on social media platforms in a healthy manner.
Thank you so much. Pastor Vine?
For me, I would focus on, I would encourage everyone to focus on striking a balance and realizing that these social medias does not make us, it doesn't define who we are, as Pastor Sam said, and especially at my age, that we should use it wisely to build one another and encourage one another, and to be God's ambassadors. And as Pastor Lee has also said, use this platform wisely and not to hurt others, just to be make a difference in somebody else's life, because we also don't know who are the lonely ones, who are the ones that need that's opening the a social platform in that particular moment, who has a need to be encouraged, has a need to be uplifted, and who's going through a very dark time, very difficult time. So let us use this to God's glory, to God's honor, and then we'll see the difference that it makes. I think it's a powerful tool in the right people's hands. Amen.
Amen. Well, as for us and our social media platforms, we will serve the Lord. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Pastor Joan. I hope you're getting some good R&R, and we can't wait to have you back next week,
We miss
Thursday.
her so much.
We do miss you. And I just want to also just say my concluding remarks would be, please take care of your real life relationships. They are far more important than you will ever know. Keep it light, keep it healthy in terms of your online usage, and let us do this thing together, because later on we will be posting on Facebook about watching the show on YouTube. So God bless, and take care, and see you next week, Thursday.
Okay, bye.
Au revoir.
In the shadow, as I look upon my life, in the shadow, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dreams. As I look upon my life, in the shadow, there's a passion inside.